Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Lector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Last Argument of Kings, the third book in the original trilogy. For this episode, we'll be covering The First Day and Such Sweet Sorrow. So, let's get started. As usual, gotta thank you all for being such loyal listeners. The 15 of you. So proud, so happy.
Well, if it actually was 15, they would be very dedicated. I don't think there's enough time in a month to listen to that
You're
much.
right. So yeah, we just want to say our appreciations there, and we noticing that a lot of people have been commenting on the YouTube channels, right?
A lot of people have been jumping on board just listening, period. So welcome to all the new viewers, even if you don't get to this point until you've been listening to the podcast for months and months.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, once again, thank you all. And we'll just hop in right into our first segment, which is Best Meme of the Week. George, you want to take it away?
Sure. It's we got a user on Reddit, CO_Bradford64. I love it when I've got to read out one of them names. Pick a good name like Tamil Boar or something, you know. And for anybody that's listening, this is spoilers for the end of Last Argument of Kings and for Red Country and pretty much the rest of the series. So if you don't want to get spoiled, just skip over for the next minute. And it's the meme from Umbrella Academy where it's Superior Pike meeting Inquisitor serving under him for the journey to the near country, and then Inquisitor Lawson wondering why this former prisoner is a superior in the Inquisition.
I always love that little detail. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's funny that they never bring it up.
Yeah, I think probably because Lawson's like, such is the way of the Union. The wheel turns and turns, and I am just but one spindle. I actually really like Lawson quite a bit.
He's our favorite jailer.
Yeah, he's a by the book kind of Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, George. Much appreciated. And so we can move on to our first chapter read through of the episode, which is The First Day. And this is coming, we start off from the perspective of Logan, and they had just pretty much finished patching up the, do you want to call it a wall? Do you want to call it like a knee-high?
I would say it's a wall now.
Yeah, I guess you could say.
It's about 20 feet high, the wall itself is.
Well, if you're outside of it. But if you're inside,
Yes.
it's low.
It's like a step up, yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't a bad idea for a fortification, to be honest. It's always better to have, not just a thin wall that you can stand on, and you've got all that room to fall back and have like reinforcements and stuff. So it seems like they've actually done a really good fortification.
That's true, and they say the weak point is the gate, which I assume at that point it does dip down into it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a weak point. So, but they basically have reinforced it, try to block it off, and they've dug a trench in the bottom of it. So if you're approaching the fortress, you basically have a super steep incline, a big old trench, and then a 20-foot high wall from the top of that trench there, and then above that is probably another 20, 30 feet above that is a tower where people can throw down rocks to shoot archers at you, arrows. So it's pretty good now, actually.
Well, yeah. So they've been patching it up. They spent a few days so far. Yeah. In the meantime, like Logan's side, I think is pretty well done for the most part. Dow's side is still being constructed, and Dow has a unique method of incentivizing work. I think it's one way we could put it. And
it's just screaming at them. I've had a couple of bosses like that, so
it can be effective though. Can be effective.
I mean, you'd have to be a real bastard to kind of be lazy at this point,
right? Your life's
like
on the line.
everyone's life is on the line, and you're just there going, all right, I'll just.
I don't feel like doing it.
I don't feel like it.
Maybe Black Dallas, his methodology is like, I'm going to be doing a ton of killing, and I'm going to be doing more than all of you combined. So fuck you guys, do the work.
And I like how Crummick and Logan, they're kind of like chatting a little bit, and Crummick's like, well, if Bethard doesn't show, At least you guys have done amazing stuff for my wall.
Gotta look
Okay.
on the sunny side.
Yeah, Crummick. Always looking at the sunny side of the moon. And then we have Shivers. He's in the middle, I guess, telling his people to patch up some mortar here
I'm
and there.
Jeffrey, I'm sorry. We're
What?
all always looking at the sunny side of the moon.
I know.
I know, it's good. It's a good joke. I know you meant it as a joke, and I just can't help but keep laughing about it.
I try my best. And Logan notices Shivers on the middle part of the wall, pointing out some mortar to be patched up here and there. And Logan's like, "Hey, wall's looking good." Shivers turns around, he's like, "Uh-huh." And he spits, and he's like, "Whatever." And the Crummick's like, "Hey, that guy might try to kill you during the battle, so keep an eye out." And Logan's like, "Yeah, I kind of got that."
Been thinking about that for a long time. Way ahead of you, Crummick.
Yeah, he's like, I'm aware.
He's like, I'm pretty sure everyone wants to kill me, actually.
And then Logan goes up to the tower, right, to see the Dogman, and Dogman's there with Toll and Grim, and they're just kind of seeing like, "Hey, have you seen anything yet?" "No, not yet." Bethod's gonna turn up eventually, hopefully, and maybe if he doesn't, then their lives aren't in danger. And then Grim at some point is just like, and he just points down, and then they're like, "Fuck!" They see some movement, and they're like, "Here we go." And so then they started coming in. Now there's a bit of a break, and then it turns over to Dogman's perspective, and they're watching the Bethod's army kind of fill the valley and the different standards that are coming up. You see Whitesides, you see Goring, Pale as Snow, Little Bone, and then you see the others from out past the Krina. And then
that's the sounds that it says they're making all these weird fucking jittery hollering sounds. And they're like, "Oh, that's kind of weird."
Dude, that's what I'm telling you. You sound like Donnie Thornberry.
That's the second Thornberry joke you managed to get into this podcast.
It's the same one. Yeah, I made the Donnie. And so they're counting 8 to 10,000, which they're trying to be like, "Hey, it's fighting. Battles aren't always won by the bigger numbers." It's like Dogman's like, "No, just most
usually.
of the time. Just most of the time." And they're doing some digging of their own. I guess they're ditching. Yabba dabba doobie dabba doobie. Harrison, you're a dick. So Bethod's army is doing some digging. Like they're digging ditches, I guess, to prevent, the dog.
Keep them from leaving. Yeah, they're sieging them.
Yeah. Excuse me. And then you see Bethod's own standard coming up now, and it's bigger than all of them, right? It's just a red circle on black.
Yeah, which you can see on our Instagram.
Yeah,
and on the website.
And on the website, Circle the World. I like how as they're coming up, Logan's Logan's in one of those like very thought-provoking moods. He always gets like this when he gets into the mountains. He's always like, "Man, this reminds me of back in the day." And I just like the way Joe describes everything. He takes a bit more time to show that Logan is being a bit more thoughtful, and that's a nice touch whenever he's talking about how the mountains look and whenever he was young and blah 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 blah, and including the way Bethod comes up. He's getting all nostalgic about Bethod. Oh yeah, they all used to fight them and stuff like that. Fight with Bethod, and the way the Bethod lines up his army, even that's like perfect. Like he's gonna take his time, siege him out, all these perfect blocks, and that doesn't ever happen again. So I like the description of how Bethod organizes his army.
And then we a couple like 5 people detach from Bethod's army and start walking up to the gate to I guess parlay. And Dow is like, "Oh, look, these motherfuckers are going to start talking." And we see that we know that one of them at least is White Eye Hanzo. And I like how, it's a couple things here. A, Black Dow yells down, "Is that Shite Eye Hanzo down there?" And B, It's a misspelling of Blacked Out here. If you have the book, actually, it says jeered Black Daw at him.
Really?
Yeah, DAW.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, a good little Easter egg there. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then he says to White Eye, he says, "Still sucking on Bethod's cock, are you?"
Damn.
And I like how Hansel, he takes it in stride. He's like, yeah, well, a man's got to feed his family somehow, right? And one cock tastes pretty much the same as another one. He's like, don't pretend like your mouth ain't all tasted salty enough.
Sick comeback, bro.
Yeah, sick comeback. He's like, all right. And so Dogman's like, okay, what do you want? What's going on? Does Bethel want to surrender to us? And he goes, nah, like maybe we can talk our way out of like a battle. I got sons here. I'd rather not put them at risk. Maybe we could figure it out. And Dogman's like, oh, don't really think so, but let's try it. Let's see. And apparently Bethod's offering, because he wants to focus on the Union, he's offering that anyone that is willing to, throw down their weapons, they have safe passage, they can go in peace. And then Dow's like, and they get killed afterwards, right? And Hansel's like, he's like, I know they're not gonna believe me. He's like, Bethod says any man wants to go can go free. That's his word. Fuck his word. And then Crummock comes in and he chimes in here. He's like, oh, really? Any man, huh? So what about Crummocky Fail? Can he go free? And what about the Bloody Nine? And then Hansel's like, is that true then? His 9 fingers really up there? And then Logan just kind of like, sidles on over there and goes, he shows himself. And then White Eye's like, oh, God, he slumps. And he's like, well, never mind. It has to be blood then. And then Logan gets a little, he's starting
Frisky.
to feel himself. Yeah, a little frisky here. He's like, just starts staring at them, and he's like, you can tell Bethod will come out once we've killed all of you. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he gets so into. Did you listen to the audiobook for this one?
No, I didn't.
The way he Pacey does Logan's voice, it's like very aggressive and intense. He's like, I'll be looking for your sons.
Well, that's at the end. That's at the end of this little interaction.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. But what about the part where he says you can tell Bethod will come out once we've killed the fucking lot of you?
Yeah, he's pretty aggressive the whole time.
Oh, okay. Well, White Eye is just like, well, Dogman, I heard you're the chief of this crowd now, so you don't have to take your orders from this crazy fucker. So is that your answer? Is that the way it's gonna be? And Dogman's like, what else did you think it was gonna be? We didn't come here to talk, man. So bye. No, White Eye is just like, fine, I'll tell him, but I fucking tried. I tried. So fuck off. And then this is when Logan kind of like snaps and he's like, I'll be looking for your sons, Hansel. And he's like, when the work begins, you tell Bethod I'm waiting. Tell them all I'll be waiting. It's like, I imagine on the audiobook it sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty awesome because it makes you bet. I bet everybody in his side too is like, oh shit, there he is. There's the Bloody Nine. Like, and in this case, since he's on your side, it's kind of actually like a good thing. And all the Bethod's men know what Logan's capable of. So despite my misgivings about how Logan acts, like in certain situations, here in this moment, him giving into those feelings are perfect. George, what do you think about whenever like Logan snaps at the end here? At the end of this interaction, I mean, he snaps at White Eye Hansel and he's like, "I'll be coming for your sons."
It's just he never says any, like, he doesn't actually think about this kind of stuff, does he? He doesn't go, "Oh, I wish I could kill this guy's sons." He's just using it. He's using his reputation.
Yeah,
he's trying to get them all stirred up and go, "Oh, it's the Bloody Nine." He's so fit that. And I think it really is just that he's not really gunning for these people.
I agree. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's just, in this case, it works out perfectly. Like, this is a good time whenever you want to instill that fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a break, and now we're back in Logan's perspective, and they're all kind of just waiting, right? They're just waiting for shit to hit the fan, because. So time, they're battle ready, battle stations and everything, and the thralls are ready, the Carls are ready, everybody's ready, and for a few moments, Logan 9 Fingers was a man of peace because everything's still very like it's like that, the whole like cliche calm before the storm kind of thing.
Mm.
And then the army, Bethod's army, they kind of start like parting, like the Red Sea. They move to the side, and guess who comes spilling out in that little space? But the Shanka. And apparently it's just more than Logan's ever seen any like in one gathering. So yeah, they're coming. They're coming for that wall.
The Shanka are absolutely terrifying when they're described like this, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just like a wave, right?
It's just a massive fucking screaming, gibbering monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they are described quite in detail whenever Logan's fighting them, like in the first chapter and under Alcus. But they never really kind of have this effect on anybody. They kind of just like, oh shit, Shanka, we better run away.
Mm-hmm.
Or better fucking murder them all in the second case. But this is getting them. They're like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yep, here we go.
Yeah, especially since like they're not supposed to be like doing. Black Dad was like, what the fuck? He's like, they're not supposed to be coming at us like this. Like Bethard are. I know he says it a little bit later, but still, the point is that the Shanka are. They're stupid, but they're not complete morons. They still don't want to. They'll do ambushes and stuff like that. They don't just charge a wall blindly, and so that's what makes it more disturbing for all of them.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
They're not acting in their nature, are they?
No. It's against their nature for sure. And then Logan, everyone's getting ready to ready your bows, and then Dow's side, Shiver and Logan's side, Dogman's side, and then it switches to Dogman's perspective again, and he's in the tower with Grim and Toll, and then that's it. Start fucking shooting, and they're just shooting, and apparently it's because there's so many flatheads, and because of the way they're rushing, that the arrows are hitting they're hitting their marks, easy peasy. The issue is they keep coming, and Toll's out.
Yeah, you can't even tell.
Yeah, and Toll is out here flinging rocks and stones and shit, just crushing heads and everything. And apparently, even though that they're hitting them with a good amount of arrows, that they're making it to the wall, and they're pretty good at climbing, especially the parts where there's still like ivy vines or like divots in the stone. So it's like, they're climbing pretty quickly. And then cut back to Logan's perspective, and we have a Shanka climbing over the parapet, and Logan just splits his head open. Men are shooting arrows. Like, you guys want to chime in here about like this whole sequence?
I love it. It's just so chaotic. Like you said, within what seems like seconds, they've come from charging to, oh my god, they're up the wall.
Yeah,
they're here, and we've got to start fighting them right now. And I can't even imagine being in this kind of situation. I mean, they were probably just expecting Bethel to send his thralls up, do some skirmishing, do your old-fashioned siege tactics where you kind of wait a bit and wait for them to, this old psychological warfare, do some stuff like that. Nope, straight away, there's the Shanka.
Yeah, but that makes sense. You want to send the cannon fodder out first,
Yeah, and I imagine the Shanka are fucking hard to kind of, corral.
You kind of just have to throw them at an object or at an objective. I mean,
He's like, you look at those guys up there; they've got lots of nice shiny metal for you to bolt into yourself.
I imagine there was one guy who just launched a piece of meat towards the wall, and then the Shanka just started all running after it, those, you know how those people that they race dogs, and then there's a fake rabbit on the track. I bet that's.
Yeah, the wide-eye hands actually put a little marker. He put a little, he put a little thing out there, a little shiny piece of metal.
So yeah, basically the Shanka, again, it's chaos. They're over the wall, or they're trying to get over the wall. Logan and Shivers and everybody, they're fighting, hand-to-hand combat. One Carl got stabbed in the shoulder. 3 Carls are stabbing at another flathead. Shivers is out here, he's killing. And Logan it's chaos. It's really hard to properly describe it unless you're reading it. But
yeah, everyone is like, with the Shanka being the way they are, everyone hates them. But also there's so many of them, and it's kind of terrifying. And they're like you guys said, they weren't expecting them to do that thing first off. So they are kind of struggling against the tide that suddenly come up. They weren't really prepared for a Shanka like this. So, they do actually start to wane a bit, unfortunately, even though it's in the first attack, because of the gate.
Yeah, well, no, because the ones that were all around the gate were all killed, crushed with rocks, toll, and so then they all just like, all right, that's it, we're done, we're out, and they left, and then the ones that were still up on the wall, Dow's people got murdered, they murdered them basically, so yeah, they started running away, and then people started cheering, they're like, yeah, we did it, and Logan's just like, well, I know that's just his first like little prodding action,
He's
but
testing us.
yeah, but at least still alive. Then I guess a bit of a time jump later, where they're now it's still Logan's perspective, but it's nighttime, and they're gathered around the fire, and it's just him. It's actually just Logan and Grim, and then Tull, Crummick, and Black Dow, they come up to the fire, and we see that Black Dow has like he got a cut on the forearm. Our poor Black Dow, and but he has a bandage, and Black Logan just says, "Picked up a cut, didn't you?" And Dow was just like, "Bah, nothing but a scratch. Fucking flatheads.
Fuck it.
Do it. Go ahead, do it."
Who?
I'm not gonna do it. Just
Go on.
Fucking
flatheads.
There you go. You'll burn the lot of them. And then Tull's like, well, my palms are just terribly, terribly chafed from hefting all these rocks, but I'm okay. and Crummick's bitching.
What a flex.
Yeah, right. And Crummick's bitching about the fact that he's just been hanging out behind the wall, like behind, I guess, like in reserve, because it's not his turn yet. So it'll be his turn. And then this is what Dow starts talking about what you were saying, Harrison, where he's never seen flatheads come on like that, like right at a well-manned wall with no ladders, no tools. It's not smart. Like your average flathead isn't smart, but isn't stupid. They like ambushes, they like cover, hiding, creeping. They can be fearless when they have to be, but to come on like that, that's not natural. And then, this is when Crummick chimes in that it's most likely to do with Bethod's witch. Probably has herself a chant and a ritual, and then Tull's like dancing naked around the green fire and all the rest. And then Crummick's over here is like, well, the moon, don't you worry, guys. The moon loves us, and we can't die while the moon loves. And then Logan kind of just has enough about it, has had enough of it, and he's like, well, tell it to those that went back to the mud today. Tell it to those that died today, because there's, I guess, a score of them, of the Carls or the men have died. And then, Crummick's just talking about like, they're fine. They're, excuse me, that, they're probably the happy ones. Logan's just, he's tired of it. And then Crummick's like, you know what? Listen, we'll be lucky if we don't go in pits for a dozen each, like there'll be nowhere for the living to sleep. Otherwise, he doesn't make any sense, to be honest with you. I don't know what Crummick's saying here, but he's basically saying like, what? It's not like you haven't dug the holes yourself or whatever. And Logan's like, maybe, but I didn't like it any. And then Crummick's like, of course you did. You're the bloody nine. Come on. And Logan just walks away, and he's just annoyed, and he's just paranoid that Bethod might have a surprise for them that first night because he likes surprises. And then he feels that someone's coming behind him. He's like, fuck, is it Shivers? Shivers, or maybe one out of 100 dudes that have a score to settle with him. But it turns out to be the Dogman. He's like, hey, we did good today. Lost less than 20 people, so that's all right. But they know that it's Bethod's just getting started. Logan's like, he's prodding to see where we're weakest, because the most important thing to a person in war is time.
Yeah.
So he can spare a shitload of Shanka, but he doesn't. If he wants to get it done quick, he will. If he has to take the crew, Logan and Dogman's crew, slow, then he will too as well.
That's very true. And I do like the fact that they don't know the whole stuff with Weston, the Lord Marshal situation, the fact that they're coming up like maybe a week late. So they're just like, that's all right, the Union will be here soon.
Yeah, they're like, it should just be a day or two,
Yeah, I imagine they're only thinking a day or two at the most, and turns out, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's not just a day. It's not just a day. And so then basically the last line, the chapter is Logan saying, that the Union better be here soon, because plans have a way of coming apart when you lean on them, like when you really depend on them. And that's the end of that chapter. How would you guys rate that?
I'm going to give that one a 6. I really like it. It's a good fun. I love fight scenes. I love the way that Joe writes, especially battles. They were always very vivid and it's chaotic, but you can always kind of have a grasp of what's happening. And I really, really enjoy that. But as for the character work and things like that, it's a bit light. So I'd say around a 6.
Okay. I like that score. I was gonna give it a 6 as well. That's because it was a fun, chaotic, like the initial scene of the battle. But it's like, okay, we're standing around a little bit. We're just finishing up the patchwork, and then we see White Eye Hansel. I'm Logan. I'm gonna flip out a little bit, and then we start fighting, and then that's it. So it's not the most meaty chapter, but it is still a pleasure to read. Harrison.
I think I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 9. Same reason that you guys said. I do feel like compared to a lot of other chapters, it's just not as good. Like Joe is doing a lot more descriptions here, and I don't know if that's to like, obviously from Logan's perspective, it's like because he's being all thoughtful and thinking about things, and that's nice. But we've already gotten a lot of that from Logan, and so it feels like nothing new, which is fine. But it's obviously still good stuff. It's just not as good as a lot of other stuff in it. So I'm just going to kind of give that average rating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good.
And I do want to say as well, just to add up, I wish Joe would have come up with his Little People chapters during this trilogy, because this is a perfect opportunity for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear Red Hat's thoughts. Right.
I want to hear Shanker number 47. What he's thinking.
It's just like pure gibberish for like 3 paragraphs, and then they just move on.
It goes to Shiver's perspective. Oh, that Shanker was very talkative. glad I killed him.
All right. Well, that's our first chapter read through. We'll move on to our next segment, which is our character spot. I want to take it away.
So we're going to do White Eye Hansel.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's the last time, maybe close to the last time that he appears or has any lines in this trilogy. So, what do you guys think of White Eye Hansel?
I think he's a good old chap through and through.
Good old fashioned.
An old fashioned dude that just has to, he's for Bethod, so he has to do what Bethod says, Simple as that.
He just got a good point. I love the bit where he's like, when he's like, "You're still sucking Bethod's cock," and he's like, "Yeah, you got to do what you got to do."
Yeah. Just as salty as ever.
White Eye Hansel is like Bethod's like spokesman. He's like his ambassador. He goes out and speaks, which does take some bones for being in the North, because you never know what the fuck a Northman's gonna do. He could just stab you and be like, "Oh, sorry, whoopsies. What are you gonna? You hate to fight me now?" They could have killed White Eye Hansel. I mean, no one would have cared. So he just got some bones for that, and I like that he is honest. Like, I'm not really a fighting sort of kind of guy. That's not really my thing. I'm a talker. I like to think things through. Like he's one of those Northman intellectuals. And he knows other languages too. It's kind of cool. I wonder how. I would like to get, we get a little bit more later on, but it's not really much about his backstory. But I do wonder why he can speak the common tongue so well. Pacey gives him this very nice sounding voice. So
he sounds very sophisticated, doesn't he?
He does, and I do feel really bad for him when it comes to his sons. Mm-hmm. So that does suck.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only seen in a negative light because he's with Bethod, and our characters are seen in a negative light. Our characters see Bethod in a negative light. That's it. Really, he's another straight edge. Really, if you think about it.
I do love the fact that in the first time that he appears, he's just as scared as Fenris the Fierce as everybody else.
I know.
He just starts stripping his robe off, and he's just shuffling away. I don't want to.
He's like, "Oh god."
He's like, "You should have." Man's getting naked,
bro. He had to be on the boat right over there with him. Can you imagine? He's like, "So, you have kids?" And it's the spirit is like, "I eat children." He's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna die."
Oh god.
You have anything to say about him, Jeff?
Well, yeah. White Eye Hansel. We'll see him soon enough in greater detail in another book, right?
Yeah.
and there we'll see more of like I don't know about necessarily so much as a straight edge, but not a totally bad dude. I mean, like, I mean, think about it. Everyone in the North, or at least everybody in his books, in some way, shape, or form, isn't the best kind of person. Like maybe
No.
Three Trees, Dogman, and Forley, right? Try to think of like really like deep down good people.
Honestly, Craw is pretty good.
Oh, Craw. I can't forget about him either.
I don't know about him. I will talk about that another time, though.
No, we'll talk about him another time. Another time, another book, another series. But yeah. So I mean, poor White Eye. I mean, I like that he's like the diplomat, like you said, Harrison. That because he's multilingual, he's able to be Bethod's representative within the North and outside of it because he's multilingual, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
He's the diplomat. He's
the guy, and that's
And
a unique. That's a unique characteristic. It's a unique position to be within the North, is what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
yeah.
You don't get a lot of those. You expect to get that within the Union or the Gurkish Empire, Styria, all that stuff. But with the North, it's just we're savage barbarians.
Yeah, the leaders tend to speak for themselves, don't they?
Exactly.
A lot of the time throughout the books, and White Hansel is the exception to that.
Yeah, Bethod is just built different,
Built different, yeah.
He is him.
Yeah, he is him.
He's like, I'm gonna rule the North without a name, and I'm gonna have a fucking representative. Suck a dick.
So good. Yeah, so there you go. And I think, that's all I got to say about White Eye. And that'll conclude our character spot. And we'll move on to our second and final chapter read through, which is Such Sweet Sorrow. And this is a short one, but it's a funny one. So we start off with Giselle's point of view. He is I don't want to say entertaining. What's the word? He is
accepting.
Hosting. He's the Grand Duke of Austria's representative is here to make.
He's holding court.
He's holding court with the ambassador of the Grand Duke of Austria.
Fucking Rogant.
Yeah, Rogant. And he talks about how we love, we wish to maintain good, relations with you, blah, 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 blah. In between, Giselle's smiling, but he's hot, he's drunk, he's bored, has a headache. I think the ambassador says we wanted to express our brotherly regret at the minor incident last spring, and we assure you that nothing will happen again as long as the soldiers of Westport stay on their side of the border. Just a bunch of shit. It's like no one's really paying attention. And then when it's like, Giselle's like, okay, thanks for coming. Catch you later. Bye.
Yeah, a gift bag on your way out. See you.
Yeah. And then, Hoff is like, we have, that's the last of the ambassadors. Tomorrow we'll be talking to the nobility of Midderland. They want to pay homage. And,
he's just throwing a fit.
Yeah, Giselle's just annoyed. And then he's like, well, we have to, they saw audiences since dawn and we don't want to really offend them. And then Giselle's like, damn it. I guess like his pants are sticking to his ass because it's so sweaty. And he's like everything's just tight and sweaty. And he's just like, kind of like, he's throwing a tantrum right now. And Giselle kind of realizes that he's embarrassed. He's like, I'm sorry. It's a terribly trying day. And then everyone leaves, but Baez follows him. And he goes, that was not gracious. Rare rages render a man frightening. Common ones render him ridiculous.
God, I hate it when Baez is right, but
yeah, but he's
right. This is one of his. I feel like this is one of his best like advice lines that people in like real life don't even think about. Like it's a really good line.
Yeah, you don't want to be constantly being a little bitch.
But a little bitch sometimes. Everybody pays attention. So
exactly. Yeah,
and I love how he immediately goes on to sort of, kind of, but not really rebuke him for, not living up to his kind of his duty.
Yeah, right. Because Giselle's like, I'm sorry, it's just the crown is a terrible burden, and then Baez is like, yeah, a mighty burden and a mighty honor both. We had a discussion, as I recall, about your striving to be worthy of it. The Magus left a significant pause. Perhaps you might strive harder.
Oh, and we almost forgot one of the funniest things. Whenever he's all frustrated And he like sees Baez like looking at him in the shadows, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then he goes to walk out, and since he walks out so quickly, the fuck his little band that plays like the trumpets and shit whenever he goes and comes, they're like they didn't expect him to leave, so like it's like not quite there. It's all like it's like a sad sounding one.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
Oh my god.
He's like, I just can't do this. Oh, I'm so terribly sorry.
Perhaps you might strive harder.
This the way that, when he says, perhaps you might strive harder than that. I love this because it's sort of like Baez wants to really have a go at him and be like, come on, what the fuck are you doing? But he's put it in such a diplomatic way, and he's being so patient and he's kind of trying to guide Giselle into what he needs to be. He's actually doing a good job here, I think.
Yeah, in a way. And Giselle's like, oh, I just need a moment. And Baez's like, take the time you need, but in the morning, we got business we can't avoid, so come on now, let's do it. Like, for the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Baez is just like sitting there though too. Like this whole time, he's sitting there. He's just sitting, watching, seeing what Giselle's doing, and critiquing him where he needs to be critiqued, which is because he knows Giselle needs guidance and Giselle's unstable. And you're right, George. He is doing that. He is giving him that critique and that balance, and not for Giselle's own, personal.
Well, as far as we know, anyway.
mental health, he's doing it, to make sure he can be a good king.
Mm.
So, but it is interesting to see how they interact with one another.
And so Giselle goes off to take some time to himself, right? And he's walking in this little, like what would you call it, like a courtyard?
Yeah.
And then he comes across a Night of the Body, and he's like, oh my god, I can't just be alone for once. And then he looks a little closer, and he realizes it's Bremadan Gorst. And he's surprised. He's like, wait, what the fuck? He's actually happy to see him, even though he doesn't really like him or know anything about him, but it's a familiar face.
Definitely.
Of course, Your Majesty.
Oh, damn it, I was going to do it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Your Majesty does me too much honor.
Yeah. And then he's like, why aren't you like, I thought you were with Lord Broxguard. He's like, well, it did not suit me, and I was lucky enough to find a place with the Knights of the Body. And then
come
Giselle...
on, we all know fucking Gorst went straight for the Knights of the Body. He got done with the fishing contest, and he was like, how can I get in?
Yeah. And then Giselle had an idea here. He's like, can I ask you for a favor, actually? And Gorst is like, Your Majesty has only to ask. And and then so a little bit of a time jump. Giselle's in his chambers, I'm assuming. The door opens. Giselle turns around. Gorst comes in, and then a cloaked and hooded figure.
Hey, I do. Right before we get to this part, I'm sorry, but I do want to point out that when he goes out to this courtyard, I really like Giselle's thoughts here, because he's already having this identity crisis, kind of like what we covered last time. And so he's sitting there thinking about how each time somebody calls him His Majesty, it like bothers him greatly, because he knows that he's just like he this has shown him, he already kind of looked back at himself and saw what he was and didn't like it. And this, each time they say Your Majesty, it like reminds him again what he actually is. Some selfish little guy who only cares about himself and doesn't know how things actually work, and naive and stupid and all that. And I really like that, in these quiet moments, Giselle is just beating himself up because he knows he's not like worthy of the position. And the reminder that he is in that position only makes it worse for him, because he's actually turned into, somebody who's more self-reflective and trying to do better. And so these reminders that he is not who they all say he is a very, I think it's a very complex thought that he's having. And it's just it's kind of sad to see how he has to deal with that. Because he actually is trying to be good.
Poignancy.
Yeah.
Said, damn, Harrison coming out with a poignancy there.
No, very true. Very true. And well, this is where we kind of see this, like, not really in effect, but awkward enough. Like, so basically, Gorst went to go get Artie. She was cloaked and hooded. She entered the room, and then Giselle's like, and he's like, Gorst, you can leave. You can leave. It's just me and her. And then he's, I like this line. He's like, he wondered if it would end with kisses and soft words between them, or if it would simply end. The start was far from promising. Your august majesty, what a towering honor. Should I grovel on my face or do I curtsy? Like, that's all right. Here we go.
Just like, yes. Grovel.
So,
You love how he does say a curtsy.
so basically, the whole gist of this interaction is that, like, Artie's like, when I was a girl, I had dreams of being invited to the palace to be a guest of the king himself. We would eat great food, drink fine wine, and talk important things. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for making my dreams, my pitiful dreams, come true, even for only the briefest moment. And then, obviously, he's like, we're all shocked about how things came about. And like you said, Harrison, she says, "Oh, of course, yes, indeed, Your Majesty. Don't call me that, not you." And she says this part is like, you promised me, Giselle. You promised me you would not let me down. And he's fumbling. He doesn't know. He meant to keep his promise, but he can't marry her. He surely would have done, but if not for all this that has happened. And she says, of course not. And, she's, like it says, her mouth gave a bitter twist. And I don't think bitter as in undeserved light here. I think it's deserved. Like I'd be
100%.
I'd be bitter as fuck too.
I mean, they're both kind of in the right for how they feel at this point.
I think it's I really enjoy this part because Giselle is, you're right, he's technically not wrong. Yeah, he did kind of choose this, but at the same time, now that he's there, he really can't marry Artie. I mean, he did not know that whenever he said, "Sure, I'll go help you, Baez, deal with these breakers, and I'll take the promotion," that the next fucking couple days he was going to be king. Like he didn't know, and so that's fair on his part. And Artie even acknowledges that. It sounds like she's being bitter towards him when she says that, which she justifiably is. At the same time, though, she is also being genuine and saying, "No, it's really not your fault. It's kind of my fault for getting caught up with you. My brother was right, and I could have gone for a better man, and I chose you." So she's having a bit of too much self-pity there, and not all that is true, but at the same time,
right. Well,
she is actually acknowledging her own
right,
fault.
But that comes after that part right there. You just said comes after Giselle propositions the idea of her being his paramour, or as she calls it.
That's a nice word for it. Yeah,
you're whore.
That's the word he should have used that word.
Yeah,
Jeff.
He was like, lover, and it's like, no. And then then he goes, what? So then what happens when you get bored of me and you find other lovers? What will they call me then? He's like, listen, she says, I'm scum and I know it, but you must think even less of me than I do. And then Giselle is like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. And then
this is heartbreaking.
Yeah. And this is when she says what you're saying, Harrison, where she's like, I don't blame you. I blame myself. I used to think I had bad luck, but my brother was right. I just make bad choices. And after the last thing she said was like, I could have found a good man, but I chose you. I should have known better. She touches his face, rubs a tear from his cheek, and then she's just staring out into the garden.
And that must hurt so much, considering how much work Giselle really did put into becoming a better man.
Yeah. He did that for her too. Originally.
Yeah. And the saddest part is that was it. That was the last word spoken between them. Right? He yells for Gorse. He tells her to escort the lady back home, and they don't even he's looking at her, but she doesn't look back. She doesn't turn back. No, nothing. No. Nothing, and she just crosses the threshold and just walks out, and that was it, and that's the end of the chapter.
And what is that last line, George?
Without the slightest pause, she stepped through and was gone, and Gorst after her, and Giselle was left in the moonlit garden, alone.
Poor Giselle.
Yeah, Giselle. At that last line, I don't know why, but it slaps every time more and more. Especially, I'm reading some other stuff right now too, and so that line I think fits him so well for that he is this in his state that he is in now. He's in that same state for the rest of time.
Well, he's gonna feel like that for a long time, that's for sure. What would you guys rate this chapter?
I think I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 9.
Ooh,
I just really love this character work for Giselle and for Artie both. I think it's very, very vital. I think this is one of the most important character chapters for him. We've kind of had this build up to this, and I think that this is the kind of the final killing blow to Giselle Dan Luthar and the birth of King Giselle.
Interesting.
And I just think it fits so well. Especially the last line. It's heartbreaking in several different ways, and also like just so interesting to see where Giselle goes from here. So I just really enjoy that.
Okay. George?
I want to go a little bit low. I'm just going to go for a 7 because it makes me so. This does make me really sad. Like genuinely, I was listening to this in the audiobook, and I've sat on my own at work, and nobody else was in, and I was just like, "This has ruined my day." So he gets a point off for ruining my day. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautifully written. The prose is just fantastic. The way that Giselle thinks about everything, the way that he describes things when he's in this state is the way that you describe things for the rest of the book. Like you say, Harrison, this is his sort of climax for the story. And traditional Joe fucking Abercrombie tradition is to have the character's climax be a third of the way through the book.
That's funny. Well, it's you're right. For the characters themselves, a lot of their climaxes are much earlier on than what you think.
Yeah. Jeff?
Yep. I'm gonna give it a 7. To be honest with you, I really enjoyed the chapter. It wasn't long enough for me to give it like a higher score. Yeah, I mean, it's great character work, like you said, from Giselle's end. We saw Artie coming to terms with this situation, and like again, rightfully angry and bitter, and not in a what you like the cliche, the typical way of looking at something through bitter lenses.
Not like you broke my heart. Not like that.
Yeah, no, just more like fuck. We just had to be in this position. Like I had to choose this guy who somehow turns out to be the bastard son of the king. Like what the fuck, you know? It is heartbreaking.
That's my luck.
What?
Nothing.
Wait, we already found out he's the bastard son of the king.
No, I mean from RD's perspective, it's just like, oh, just my luck.
Oh, just my luck. I thought you said spoiler alert. I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So yeah, that's the name of the game. 7 out of 9 fingers for me for this chapter. So that's our final chapter read through. Let's get into our final segment, which is the community interaction segment. Harrison, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So we finished up I have something else to go over as well, but we'll finish up the bracket real quick here. We kind of touched base last time on what it's all about. So we'll kind of just wrap it up here for what everybody voted.
Can you put it up in the chat?
Yeah, looking for it now. I thought I had it pulled up, but I was wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a loser.
You're fine. You are a loser, but you're fine. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So we kind of guessed mostly right last time for the. Well, no, we didn't. Hang on. Let's see what they came up with here. Got Pyramid and Gorse and Three Trees. Oh yeah, Burn and Gorse, and then Blacked Out and We're in a Bly. Yeah, We're in a Bly. So the final runner-ups in it was Pyramid and Gorse and We're in a Bly. So.
Ooh,
really? I know, it's crazy. Yeah. I know.
Just like the last 50 times people have done this. I wonder what it is.
When I'm blind. So, and I'm gonna pull up the poll though itself. See. So, oh my god. Wait. I'm a loser, guys. I'm failing all of you. Sorry.
It's okay.
Because I had it pulled up and then I missed out. So, the poll. I'm gonna vote real quick. Who I think it just came up, so we won't know until next week. But I'm pretty sure it should be Bermuda and Gorst, and he is winning by a significant margin right now.
Jeff, how angry are you going to be if We're in a Bly wins this one as well?
Like he beats Bermuda and Gorse?
Yeah.
Not angry. I mean, whatever. I don't care. It's a poll.
I don't know. You were really angry last time.
I'm angry at the poll where it said he was like one of the best non-POV characters. No.
Okay.
No. Him being a great fighter, cool. Yeah, I rock with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Best non-POV character, get the fuck out of here.
Oh my god, why is he such a legend? Just a reminder, this is what the top comment is right now, 1 hour ago. Wherein went into a draw against Javra, the Linus Haskop, who's a great fighter, who likely has superhuman strength and speed. Whoa, hold up, wait a minute, what are you talking about, guy? When did Javra have superhuman strength and speed?
Well, it is true. In the way that Sharp Ends was written, it was ridiculous. Like, I mean, Weirin was out here catching arrows and shit. It was.
I think, Sharp Ends, especially those chapters, the ones that are, the Chef and Javra ones, I think it isn't meant to be taken that seriously. But then I don't think Joe intended for anybody to take any of this very seriously. So,
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I'm just.
Yeah, let's get to the point. If we're going to argue about that, where's fucking Shanked? Where's Mamoon?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like.
Where's Pharaoh?
Yeah, exactly.
You
so
know?
It's like. But
Yeah.
Gorse,
whoever made this, I really appreciate it, but you fucking left out like half the really good characters. So.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I really appreciate what you did, but you did it shitty. So.
Oh my god.
That's what George is saying.
No, it spurred me to make something better. I've got to come up with a better system for this.
Yeah.
This is a popularity contest. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is at the end of the day. So.
His basic. This guy's justification is basically like, oh well, if Weirin can compete with Javra, who would likely have superhuman strength, and Gorse was overwhelmed by Chazal when Baez gave him superhuman strength, then clearly Weirin should win. But that doesn't make logical sense. I'm having a hard time comprehending this. Am I missing something?
No, he's just they've just self-inserted to Javra, and they really like the character, so they're willing to say anything to kind of make sure that they win.
Yeah,
a lot of people do that, and they don't even know that they're doing it. You can't blame them.
Yeah, I know, you're right. Yeah, it's like Gorse.
If Weirin wins this, fine. I mean, he's known as one of the top fighters.
Yeah, he definitely is one of the top fighters. I just don't see how he beat.
I mean, you never know. The man was moving way fast, with such a big sword, such a strong sword, and he was moving like incredibly fast. And it's Gorse even was commenting on his skill, and Weirin got stabbed from behind with the dude. You know what I mean? Like,
but I think that's what makes it interesting, because Joe obviously thought that this kind of thing was a bit silly, because he literally had the strongest character in the book have a big fight, and then he was like, haha, actually no, I'm going to stab him in the back.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because he knows.
I'm not being cynical.
No, I know. You're right though. Joe purposely, like, on these kinds of things, he's not somebody who like condones these things, like the fighter bracket and things like that. We like, if we ever get him on here, our question is not going to be who's win, Privet and Gorse win or Bly, because that's not the point of the story. So, you're right, George. Absolutely right. And you're right also, Jeff, that Weirin definitely could win. I just don't think I think it's half a dozen one way, half a dozen another. I really don't think there is a clear winner there at all because of their situation. Yeah, Weirin got killed from somebody else in the battle, but Gorse was doing fine. Like, he wasn't like he was struggling. He was just like, oh, somebody who is maybe on my level. And Weirin was in the same zone. So they if anything, they were on par. Not like, oh, well, technically because of superhuman strength. No.
Right. Those kind of things. That's just I don't pay any attention to that.
Yeah. Anyways, the other part of the community interaction segment is going to be on the Joe's latest blog, and he mentions how his progress report, I should say. He mentions how he's been able to work on the Devils a little bit more, or he's planning on working the Devils more because of he's finally got some free time while they're looking for their casting and things like that. So since their Best Patrol doesn't work, He's like, there's not much more I can say. It's in its casting and scouting phase. The script has been revised and rewritten about 1 million times. Doubtless, it will be revised and rewritten many more times in response to the actors' notes and scouting design work and so on. But the writing of any part of it is frozen right now, along with any other film or TV work while the WGA strike is going on, which I'm sure, George, do you know about that?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's another writer's strike.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. Pay writers, please.
Yeah, pay the writers. Pay the writers.
ChatGPT will not write your film for you.
Yeah. We'll probably do some coverage of The Devils when it comes out, I imagine, boys, right?
Probably.
But he basically kind of comes down here and he does say something else that I find is very interesting, which is when he's talking about their vision of the TV show. Where is it at here?
The vision of the TV show?
Yeah, he says then it's into the movie. I mean, into more detailed, specific brands of revision, more editorial notes, past look, dialogue, behavior.
You're gonna cut this dead space out, right,
Yeah.
George?
No, I thought I'd just leave it like that. Sounds good to me.
I'm saying, I was trying to find. There's a line in here that I want to point out to people.
Actually, I have something interesting. So, you guys, when it comes out where all the locations for filming and stuff is, we should try and be extras, right?
Oh, for sure. Let's do it.
That'd be so cool, dude.
We should definitely just turn up to the film set and be like, "We do a podcast about these books. Can we just be guy in the background or dead body or something?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be so sick. Like, that's a Circle of One podcast. I would love to be like some a little Northman gaggle or fucking some fucking Union fuckers just like, we're drunk.
Or a Shanker or something.
Just go all out a Shanker. Basically, he said that he's been working on this for quite some time. I'm trying to find where the fucking line is on here. Just hang on.
Are you
Sorry,
talking
guys.
about the bit where he says
Take your time, Harrison, while I melt without my AC. Go ahead, take your time. Take your time.
Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind because I'm now on speed reading. I'm probably missing a spot. All right, well, fuck me. Where is it at?
which bit?
There's at some point he says basically that he's been working on this shit for like this has been in the works for a long time, and I'm trying to find it. Stop crying.
Huh?
I'm sorry. We're almost done. I know.
Who's crying? I'm so confused.
My dog.
Oh no.
My dog. She is being silly.
I'm crying.
All right. Well, fuck me.
Just say he says he's been working for it for years, and it's all good. It's all good, man.
Okay. All right. And he basically says that he's been working on this adaptation for years now. And he kind of mentioned it in a Twitter post a while back that he had been working with Tim Miller for some time. But it's kind of reassuring to know that he's been rewriting it and writing it so many times. And that's one reason why, like with these series, that he's been probably a bit more quiet lately because he's been in talks with all this Best for Cold stuff. So when people started asking about it, like on Reddit, like 2-3 years ago, he's probably was working on getting things worked out with it. So it's just kind of interesting. You never know what's going on in the background.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you all know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot.
Join us next week as we cover Picked Up a Shadow, Questions, and The Fourth Day.
And make sure you follow us on social media and check out our website at circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
Perhaps you might strive harder